Welcome to another amazing episode of Raising Private Money. I'm your host, Jay Connor, also known as the Private Money Authority. This is the podcast where we talk about how to raise private money without ever having to ask for money. Well, I'm so excited. Joining me here on the show today is a very, very good friend of mine. He's also a member of my very, very top level elite mastermind group. Well, first of all, my guest has already raised over $500,000 in private money, and he's got another $200,000 in the works. We're going to dissect exactly how he has raised this private money for his real estate investing business. Well, first of all, we want to thank him for his service to our country. He was in the U.S. Marine Corps and the Wisconsin Army National Guard, retiring after 22 years of service, and now he's all in on real estate investing. Now, he's married to his wife, Robin. They got married in 1985. They bought and flipped homes as a side hustle to their full-time jobs. He also has his general contractor's license and has a goal of providing more affordable housing in their local area, both with new construction and rehabbing of distressed properties. In just a moment, you're going to meet my good friend and mastermind member, Mr. Tim Benskins, right after this.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
Well, hello, Tim, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Jay. Thanks. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. So excited to have you on here, Tim. What a amazing story that you've got, your background, your service to our country. We started working together last year in Mastermind, and you're also in a platinum member. You're having phenomenal success. You've already raised $500,000 in private money. You got another couple $100,000 in the works. So my first question to you, Tim, is what was it? What did your business look like before you started using private money in your business to fund your deals?
Well, it was tough. It was trying to go to the banks and do the bank thing, which, everybody knows that takes a long time. You can't, you have to be pre-qualified. You got to go jump through their hoops just to get a deal done. And it's really, really hard to go that way when you're trying to find either distressed sellers, people that really need their house, sell their house fast and whatnot. So, private money has just opened up the door for us and quite a few more deals.
Well, as both of us know, in this world of private money, you mentioned a moment ago about going to the local banks to apply for loans and et cetera. And of course, there's a limit to the amount that you can borrow. There's a limit to the number of deals you can do when you're using traditional funding. But in this world of private money, it's all totally different. So from your experience, Tim, how about go ahead and share what are the biggest differences that you have discovered and experienced personally on using private money versus using traditional money from the local bank?
Well, the biggest is closing fast. So, we can close in 7 days, sometimes even less than that, with our private lenders. And
now, why is that important? Why is being able to close fast important? Why is that even an issue?
Well, if you have somebody that is in a probate situation, a lot of times they want to sell fast because they want to liquidate that property. Foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, they have to sell that house fast so that they don't get foreclosed on. And then there's just people that need to move. There's all kinds of different situation, divorces, that they need to sell fast to get on with their lives. And it's just so nice to have private money to do that with. And we can close fast. We can take care of that customer and have a house to flip.
Absolutely. Tim, it's been my experience that time kills deals. In other words, the more time that goes by from the time we are negotiating with a seller of a property and then actually closing that deal, the more likely it could be that the deal is going to fall through the crack. I just closed on a deal myself last week, and this is on an oceanfront condominium here in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. We first got the phone call from the seller on a Wednesday afternoon, and we closed the following Thursday, 1 day or 1 week and 1 day closing. They actually had another offer from another real estate investor that was more money, but they went with our offer because we could close so quickly. And of course, that was pretty important on this particular deal because it was also going to the courthouse steps as a foreclosure as well. Tim, just to make sure the audience understands what we're talking about, when we say private money, really what are we talking about? I mean, who is a private lender?
It could be anybody, anybody that has, cash in a CD, money in an IRA, a Roth IRA. I mean, I've had private money lenders that, had Roth IRAs, and they're making that money tax free, and they're making a really good rate of return on their money. And they love our program. And then I have some retirees that are in their 80s that don't want to be in the stock market anymore. They're having to take money out of their traditional IRAs because of the required distributions, and they're able to keep their money working and actually live off the money that they have in the bank now, and save that money for future, or if they have any medical bills or anything that come up on them. So I mean, everybody that's in our program loves our program.
So really what you're saying, Tim, is a private lender has nothing to do with an institutional lender, nothing to do with banks. We're not talking hard money or hard money lenders or hard money brokers. What you're talking about is just doing business and borrowing money from individuals, human beings, just like you and me, from either their investment capital or, as you mentioned, their retirement accounts, right?
Yeah, correct. And the retirement accounts, that just people don't know about that, So I mean, it's great to get out and teach people, how they can invest money and not be in the stock market and not have to play that up and down, trends, or worry about the stock market going down at any time. They just know that we're going to pay them a good rate of return every single month. They're going to get that same rate of return, or if we're paying them quarterly, they know that money's going to show up in their account every quarter. And they love to see their money not going down, and they love to see that money coming into their account.
So when you first started raising private money, how did you even get started? I mean, think about that first private lender. How did you get started in starting to raise private money?
Well, I joined your group, Jay. So
It, it sounds
so
like that. It sounds like that was a good place to start.
right. So I had good mentors. That's the very first place you need to start, is have good mentors, and which helps you, which actually helped me, come up with a plan, come up with, the whole, way of doing things, really doing the business. So got me the confidence to get out and start doing luncheons, start inviting people to luncheons. I think I got my first private lender right out of our webinar that you did with me. And it was somebody that I never thought in 100 years they'd ever be interested, but I invited them, and they ended up giving me $250,000 to invest. So, and he's loved it, because, my wife, Robin, sends the money right to his account. It comes into his account. He didn't have to do anything. So, he's really been enjoying being part of our program.
Something you just said reminds me to ask you this. I know what the case is with all the private lenders that my wife, Carol Joy, and I have, but you've raised 500,000 so far. You've got another 200,000 that's probably coming on available to you pretty quickly. But of the private lenders that you have, these individuals, Had any of them ever heard of private money before you told them about what private money is and how they can earn high rates of return safely and securely?
No, they never have. And everybody I run into, it's a new concept to them. So I mean, it's great to be, put on my private teacher hat, and go out and teach. And and a lot of people, they haven't jumped on board right away. I've been working on this other 200,000 probably for about 6 months now. So, and he's finally gonna, come on here probably the next month or so. So, I mean, it's just been fun going out and teaching and putting that teacher hat on and showing people what we can actually pay and how their money won't go down, their principal stays the same, and how they can be safe and secure and earn a really, really good rate of return.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit. You say you put on your teacher hat. You say you teach people. Well, explain exactly what you mean by that. I mean, particularly your private lenders never heard of private money. I assume they never heard of self-directed IRAs either
No, no, and
until you
and
told
that's
them about
probably
it.
been the biggest. That's probably been the biggest teach. Has been self-directed IRAs because nobody. It's amazing how many people don't know about that. And how
Even
good of a
even
program.
financial advisors.
Yes, yes.
And of course, the reason financial advisors or stockbrokers don't know about self-directed IRAs and how an individual can take their current retirement funds, transfer them over to a self-directed IRA company. Of course, we recommend Quest Trust out of Houston, Texas. They can move that money over, no tax consequence, no penalty, no tax effect. They can move that money over and then become a private lender with you and use their retirement funds. So, how did you start out? How did you go about teaching people in your own network, people that you've got your own connections with? How did you start teaching them and exposing them to even what private money is?
Well, I mean, we started having luncheons. So we invited people, we fed them lunch, and, it usually takes me about 45 minutes to an hour. I try to hold it, to that hour for lunch because a lot of people have to get going, back to work. But yeah, we just, I have a presentation I do and I just teach people. And then if anybody wants to stay after, I stay, pretty much as long as I need to answer any questions they possibly have about any part of our program, and it's amazing too, with we're talking about self-directed IRAs, but there's a lot of people that have money just in CDs and they're only making about a little bit over 5%. And one of my other private lenders, well, I got another one that I'm working on too. He's got money in CDs. We're just waiting for some CDs to mature because he doesn't want to pull them out and pay a penalty. But what's so nice is I could teach him how I can pay him, more money on his money that he has in a CD right now. And if he needs that money back, there is no penalty. The banks always charge a penalty, so we don't do that. And they can always get their money back, if they need to, just with giving us a little bit of a heads up so we can get that property refinanced with another private lender so we can get their money back if they need it for an emergency.
When you talk about your private lending program, what does that really mean? When you say, they love our program, what do you mean by your private lending program?
Well, I mean, we pay, on first position loans, 8%, and then for rehab money, we pay 10%. And people love, and we pay interest only. So they know exactly how much money they're going to be getting when we make the payment to them, which is awesome. A lot of people love that. And, they love making more interest than they can in the bank safely and securely. And, all the properties we buy, we have at least 25% equity in every property we buy because of the way we buy. We're buying the properties the right way, the way Mr. Jay Connor teaches, by the way. And, it just opens up the world and they feel safe because they know they have equity in that property. And then when they see, what we've done to make that property beautiful again and resell that property, it just makes them proud that, they're able to kind of, help their community and help beautify their community. And, which is a really nice thing for these private lenders. They can see their money at work.
So essentially, when you're talking about your private lending program, you're talking about what it is that you offer to potentially new private lenders as far as the interest rate you're going to pay them, the length of the note, how often you're going to pay them, frequency of payments, how they can get their money back in case of an emergency, how they're protected, how they're secure, how it is a conservative loan to value. So your program is really what's being offered to the private lenders. So speaking of your private lenders, through your own experience, Tim, why would you say your private lenders decided, and I know there's more than one reason, but why did your private lenders decide to start doing business with you, Tim Benskins, as a private lender? Why did they decide to come on board?
Well, I mean, some of them, I mean, it was my warm market, so I knew them for a long time. One of my private lenders has seen houses that we redid back when I was using banks. So, I mean, he knew the work we did. He knew the person I was. I went to church with him, which I know I've heard you say in the past that, people that you know for a long time and that you worship with, at church every Sunday, just trust you, and they want to, they see you doing good things and they want to be part of that. So, I mean, both, all my private lenders, if so far, have been people I've known for a really long time, and they just trust what we're doing, and they like what we're doing, so they want to be a part of that.
Well, and of course, you're not borrowing unsecured funds. You are securing every note and giving them security. So go ahead and share. How do you protect your private lenders so they are secure?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said before, we're buying that property at a discount. So we never go above 75% loan to value of the after repair value of that house. And then how we're securing them is I have my lawyer drop a promissory note and a mortgage. And so that's recorded with the county where that house is. So everything's done exactly like a bank would do it. And because of that loan to value, even if the market went down, we'd be able to sell that house at a discount. And my private lenders are never going to, have their money at risk because of that. So once I teach them that, in my luncheons, and I've done webinars and whatnot to teach people, and one-on-ones on Zoom too. I've done it all. And once they learn that and see how we do business, a lot of times it's, yep, as soon as I get some money ready, it's going with you because I know you, Tim. I trust you, Tim, and we like to see what you're doing.
That's wonderful. So you're not borrowing unsecured money. I mean, you could legally, but you're not borrowing unsecured money. You are backing those notes with the real estate that your company is purchasing. And in addition to that, you're also naming your private lender on the insurance policy of that property and casualty insurance policy as the mortgagee, right?
Yes, that's correct. So yeah, I missed that part, but yeah, that's a very important part. Thanks for bringing that up, Jay.
Sure. And of course, the reason that's important to the private lender is, as you just said it, Tim, they're getting the same protection as the local bank would. I mean, if you borrow money from the bank on real estate, the bank's going to be named as the mortgagee on that insurance policy. And what that means to the lender is that if there's ever a claim on that insurance policy, then the insurance company is going to make that check payable not only to you, your company, Tim, but it's also going to be payable to the lender, and therefore the lender's got to sign off on that check, and that gives them another layer of protection, if you will.
Right.
So with that, Tim, I know you're having some great success with the real estate deals that you're doing being funded by private money. One property that you've done recently that you told me about before we started the show is located at 210 Skylark Drive. So let's talk about this deal that you've done and how it's a win-win for everybody. Your private lender is winning. You're winning with the profit. The person or the people that you bought it from are winning. They probably had some distress going on. So let's dissect and unpack 210 Skylark Drive. First of all, what is the after repaired value of that property? In other words, after all fixed up, absolutely beautiful, and it's ready to sell or you sold it, what's the after repaired value?
180,000.
$180,000 after repaired value. Now, what did you buy it for? What was your purchase price?
We bought it for 110.
110. So how in the world do you buy a $110,000 property for $180,000? My guess is your seller was motivated. So what was the motivation of the seller? I assume you did not find this property in the multiple listing service.
No, we actually uh, get lists from US Leads, which is right in Wisconsin. So where we live is right on the Wisconsin-Illinois border. So we pretty much, our business, we go from Rockford, Illinois, which is to our south, up to just north of Beloit, Wisconsin. So US Leads is in Wisconsin. We buy lists from them. We mail those lists, and it came off one of those leads. That's how we got that lead.
And what type of owners are on the US lead list?
Well, that one is anybody that's lost a loved one and inherited property
So
or
these are
probate.
inherited. These are inherited properties. What
Yes.
kind of what kind of letter or direct mail do you mail out to these people?
Well, it's a basic yellow letter that says, "Hi, my name's Tim Benskin, and we'd like to buy your property," and we just keep it really simple, and with our
Right.
phone number on there.
Very good. So it was a U.S. leads list lead that you did a direct mail piece to. And how extensive was the renovation or rehab?
That house was beautiful, so there wasn't a lot of rehab. The only thing I really had to do was do the bathroom and do the kitchen, and the rest of the house was just paint. And it had carpet throughout the house. And guess what I found underneath the carpet was beautiful hardwood floors.
Oh,
So we had the
nice.
yeah, it really turned out beautiful. We had the hardwood floors redone, and it just really made that house. So yeah,
So approximately how much did the rehab cost you?
about $17,000.
Okay.
So we're
Well, let's just,
one. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, let's round it up to 20,000. It didn't cost 20, but just for easy figuring here. So let's just run the numbers on this deal. And here we run the numbers. So the after repaired value was $180,000, and subtract from that your purchase price of $110,000. That leaves 70,000. Subtract 17,000, round it up to 20,000. Subtract $20,000. So here we've got a gross profit of $50,000 on this deal. And have you already sold it?
Actually, we have. It was a lease option, so the
Okay.
people that are in there are lease optioning it, and they're gonna get a bank loan on it next March.
Wow. Very good. I assume you collected a non-refundable lease option deposit from your lease option buyer.
We did, we
And how
did.
much was that?
That was $12,000.
Very nice. So you got a $12,000 cash flow right there immediately when you sold this property. So it was a win for the seller. It was inherited. You got a win for the buyer of this property because you're selling it on lease purchase, which means they couldn't go to the bank for whatever reason today, but you still collected $12,000 up front. You got all this deal funded by your private lender. Did you have to dig into your personal pocket for any of this funding or any of the rehab, or did your private lender cash flow the whole thing for you?
Our private lender cash flowed the whole thing. So
Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
And so they'll be cashing out next March. Well, that's what it's about is creating win-win scenarios to where everybody wins, private lender wins, seller wins, the buyer wins, and all that. So as far as private money goes, what's your favorite way to raise private money these days?
Well, I like doing luncheons, and I like trying to invite as many people as I can to the luncheons. And I haven't really hit the tip of the iceberg yet with my networking. So This year I'm retiring from the Army, so my time is going to get more and more, available for me to do things. And I just, joined a couple more networking groups. So we're going to start networking a little harder coming up here in the next, 6 months. That's going to be my primary focus, is the network, and then have luncheons and get as many people in those luncheons as I possibly can. So, I really think the sky's the limit with our business going forward here, Jay.
That's fantastic. If you were talking to a brand new real estate investor that had never raised private money before, what advice would you give them?
Well, first I'd say, Joy, you can get hooked up with Jay Connor and go to his live event, which is coming up, what, in another week or so?
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
So that would be my first recommendation.
Well, if they can't make it to the live event and they want to start raising private money, what's the best way for them to start? Or here's
Oh, I
another way
mean,
for me to ask that question. If you had it all to do over again, is there any kind of mistake that you've made in raising private money that you now do differently than when you started out?
no, I pretty much follow, the program that you set forward. So I don't really change up a lot of things. I just kind of stick with that program. So it
Awesome. Well, it
works.
it
It
seems to have been
works.
working a long time. I've been doing business with private lenders and individuals all the way since February of 2009. So it's been going on for quite a while.
Right.
Well, if you're listening to this show and podcast, let me tell you something. There's no more reputable real estate entrepreneur that I know than Tim Benskins. And if you are interested in getting a high rate of return safely and securely to where you're going to earn a whole lot more money than you can in the local bank, and it's backed by real estate, there's nothing unsecured, you're all protected, there's a good chance that you may want to reach out to Tim Benskin and consider the possibility of being a private lender with Tim. So, Tim, please share your contact information. We'll have it in the show notes as well,
Sure.
but share your contact information with our audience. And you will probably hear from some folks that would love to talk with you one on one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, so I can be reached on email at tim@lifelinepropertysolution.info. And then also I have a book, and Mr. Jay Connor did the forward on our book. So, and we're running a special with that, and we're giving the book away free with a $7 shipping and handling. And you can get the book at www.stressfreeinvestinginformation.info. And our book's right there. You can order it right online. The book is also on Amazon and a few other outlets that sell books.
And what's the name of your book, Tim?
It is called Passive Income Without Tenants and Toilets.
I like that. Passive income, sit back, collect checks without tenants and toilets. Well, listen, everybody, if you're listening to this show and podcast, that's a no-brainer. Take Tim up on his free book. And by the way, this is not an ebook. He's going to autograph it. He's going to mail it to you. He's going to ship it right to you in the mail. And yes, I wrote the foreword for his book. It's an amazing book. And it tells you exactly how to be a private lender and how to be safe in being a private lender so you make those returns. Get Tim's book. Get right on over to www. And his URL is stressfreeinvestinginformation.info. Stressfreeinvestinginformation.info. Tim will autograph it and he'll rush it right out to you. Tim,
For sure.
thank you so much for joining me here on Raising Private Money.
Thank you so much, Jay. It was a pleasure. So
Thank you.
I'm
God
just
bless you. And again, thank you for your service to our country. God bless you.
thank you, Jay. Thanks a lot.
You got it. There you have it. Another amazing episode of Raising Private Money with Jay Connor. I'm Jay Connor, your host, also the Private Money Authority. Be sure and not miss out on any more amazing episodes that are going to be coming up. We're knocking on 700 episodes right now after doing this show for over 6 years, beginning our 7th year in the podcast. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, be sure and ring that bell and don't miss out on any upcoming live events or any of these episodes. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and click that bell. And I look forward to seeing you, yes, you, right here on the very next episode of Raising Private Money.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/money guide. That's JCONNER.com/money guide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/money guide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.